The next issue I want to address is what can be done. This scenario doesn't have to play out of being a continually dividing city with those very strong divisions. The plain truth is that our inner city is now a virtual ghetto dominated by a single ethnic group, the white Europeans.
There's a variety of ways that the government provides income support to folks, and there really is a possibility of making change through these kinds of initiatives. I think that the troubling side of this is that these initiatives for income security keep missing the growing group of people in poverty, and that's working age adults.
But we realize something, that if the bigger macro context doesn't change, whatever we can do in the city, whatever the city can afford to do with the best of intentions and all that, is not going to make much difference. Because there are these four problems. Income support, effective anti-discrimination measures. It's pretty easy to discriminate against somebody, and there's not much recourse. Affordable housing strategy, long waiting lists and very little of it being built. And a labor market strategy. In the 1970s, nobody talked about good jobs, bad jobs. You had a job. Bought a suburban house and a car and raised a family of 8 in the 50s and 60s into the early 70s, and that began to change.
If we can preserve and increase the amount of affordable housing, then we are going to have a way to try to have mixed income neighborhoods across the city. In the inner suburbs, it's a slightly different twist, and there it's to increase services, in particular transit, and also just getting more local people in every neighborhood more able to participate in planning decisions affecting their lives. So communities coming together locally actually can do quite a bit to make sure they maintain a mixed income sense of welcoming to all people in the community. But at the same time, we don't want to delude anybody thinking that's the answer, and we don't want to spend a lot of resources on that as opposed to keeping an eye on the big picture with the provincial and federal governments.
Knowledge is knowledge and power is power. Okay. So knowledge and research are necessary. To know these things is very important. Knowing them, talking about them, isn't going to change anything.
It's $1 million question. Everybody wants to know what we as an individual can do. I think using social media is one answer, and I also think the trick of this is to harness that energy that people are expressing individually and collectively into some fruitful action. And so it's a complicated question, but I think we're in a complicated time where people are seeing themselves as individuals and not finding groups that speak for them or with them as much as they had in the past. So we need new groupings. We need new ways to express that. There's some small things that can be done as well, both in the inner suburbs and downtown. There's a lot of buildings that require rehab.
A lot of people in the city have noticed that we have 1,100 high-rise rental buildings built from the 40s to early 1980s. They're 30, 40, 50 years old. So it's called the Tower Renewal Initiative.
These concrete slab towers that are leaking energy out of those their walls. We can reclad those buildings. They'll be more environmentally efficient, but they'll also be lower operating costs for everybody living in those buildings.
This is all kinds of job creation and job training and community development, and Transit City has to go out there. So we know what to do. This is extremely exciting. But what's happening to the Tower Renewal Initiative? What's happening in Transit City? Well, not much. The province promised to implement Transit City, and we know we're now back in a budget crunch. And so, okay, what will we cut? We won't cut all of Transit City, just part of it. Which part of it? City number 3. The high-speed light rail transit for city number 3 has been postponed. That means not funded, and who knows when it will ever be funded.
And it's very convenient to look at place-based analysis because our political system is place-based. So showing census tracts which fall into ridings and wards helps mobilize a little bit of energy around the political decisions people are making as they move forward. So that's the benefit of having place-based analysis. It very directly connects to our government system.
Power is being exercised in all kinds of ways. We have to try to find ways to ourselves exercise what power we have, what influence we have.